Bertong Kunat!
Daryong Dagol!
Ano tong balitang pinagkakalat mo dito sa baluarte ko, ha?
Anong balita?
Huwag ka na magmakangangan pa!
Ayun ba? Ha? Hindi ba totoo naman? Nasabi ang lunas sa COVID. Alam mo ba kung nasa naman kang mayaw? Nasa naga talaga yun. At higit sa lahat, fake news talaga yung EDSA Revolution.
Ungas ka ba? Ano ba pinagsasabi mo? Saan mo pinagkukuha yan?
Huh, syempre, nag-research ako, no? Sa Tuktok University. Palibasa kasi ugot ka na at laos, kaya hindi mo alam yun. Ano, ha?
Lord naman! Magpaulan ka naman ng katalinuhan!
Reliable source of information, sari-saring content na isinulat ng mga eksperto, mga librong di kalidad na abot hanggang sa doomsday, tumawag ka lang sa akin. By the way, hindi ako si Lord. Ako si Vibal.
O pre, tingnan mo to. Di ba sabi ko sa'yo totoo ang EDSA Revolution?
Oo nga, no? O tapos ito, wala pala talaga sa Naga ang bulkang Mayon.
Sabi ko sa'yo eh.
Good day, Kabibal, and welcome to our YouTube Live. For the discussion today, the topic will be on the narratives of the learning crisis, getting to know what went wrong with the learning loss. Before we begin, please take note of the following reminders. Make sure you're registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.bibalgroup.com or eturo.org to generate your proof of attendance. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to all our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. Mr. Christian George M. Epi is a founding initiator of Mamamayan L_PH, or an educational advocacy who aims to upload the heroic citizenship in every student inside and out the classroom. He is an experienced public school educator who demonstrated history of working in the secondary level in the field of education, both in Filipino and Araling Panlipunan. He is skilled in volunteering, investments, lesson planning, public speaking, and teacher training. He has a strong education professional who is also currently finishing his Master's of Arts in Asian Studies focused on Southeast Asian Studies from the University of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Christian George M. Epi.
In progress. At ito na nga, no, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Welcome po sa lahat ng sumusubaybay sa atin ngayong hapon na to sa Vibal Group Incorporated, especially sa ating social media pages. No? It's nice to be back. Bago po formal pong simula ng programa, I would like to thank Vibal Group Incorporated for giving me the opportunity, no, to the topic that I was able to pitch in before, no? The narrative of the learning crisis. And salamat po ulit sa bagay na ito. At hayaan niyo po, kahit late na yung aking pagbate, no, sa ating mga guro na nanonood, sumusubaybay parate sa Vibal Group Incorporated. It's still October, no? So hindi naman po masamang i-greet ko po kayo ulit, no, ng Happy Teachers Month. No? Kasi nasa October pa rin naman tayo. So allow me to greet again lahat po na ating mga guro. Ang pagsaludo ko po sa inyong lahat. At yun nga, ang Vibal naman ay inyo pong kasangga, kapanalig, at lubos kayong binibigyan ng pagkilala at pagpapahalaga. Okay? So dumako na tayo sa ating topic for this afternoon. And our topic for this afternoon will definitely revolve around the topic on the narrative of the education crisis. Getting to know what went wrong with learning loss in the Philippines. At mahirap ipaksa ito kasi medyo controversial. No? May mga resistance sa part ng academe kung tanggap na ba nila na talaga bang may education crisis. Kailangan ba na 30 years pa malaman bago magkaroon ng education crisis? 10 years, 20 years, or what? But definitely, let's go now with the bullet crisis. Diba? Our crisis bullet for this afternoon. Alamin natin kung ano bang dapat natin ipaksain. Diba? First is we have to identify the basic issues and challenges that poses the narratives of the learning crisis in the Philippines. Second is to explain the situation of the learning loss. That its time frame started from pre-pandemic, no, to the post-pandemic recovery phase. But definitely, we cannot deny that there's already an existing global learning poverty. And that's according to the State of Global Learning Poverty of 2022 update. According to them, no, global learning poverty is at crisis level and continues to worsen in the wake of the worst shock to education and learning in a century. And that was brought to us by the pandemic. Okay? So we have to see and face that reality. No? According to the report commissioned by the World Bank, UNESCO Institute of Statistics, UNICEF, USAID, and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So clearly, there was already a global learning poverty. And it's not only in the Philippines. We have to understand the fact that we are not a man in an island in this situation. Okay? And the learning poverty rate was already estimated, 57% in the low and the middle income countries back in the 2019. Diba? Malala pa nga dyan kapag tinignan natin yung data ng Sub-Saharan Desert o Sub-Saharan Africa, wherein they were pegged at 86%. Diba? Let's see, no, the data given to us. And here, in the learning poverty, no, according to the World Bank, which released its report according to the learning poverty, age-appropriate text by the age of 10. Okay? Philippines were one of the lowest. No? Well, we can see, no? We can see the learning poverty data here coming from Straight Times Graphics, no? Comparing Singapore, South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, China, no? Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, and the Philippines. So, well, we can notice that there were some countries were far enough from us, but there were countries neighboring to us and hindi naman nalalayo ang economic performance sa atin. Pero yun nga, no? Yung maunlad, syempre, given na maganda ang kanilang education system, but they still have that learning poverty. Okay? Para clear lang sa atin, no? Hindi dapat natin i-demoralize din natin mga sarili dito because nangyayari dito, Philippines, along with South Korea, Singapore, or what, meron din naman talagang learning poverty. But not as low as our country. No, yun yung isang in-emphasize dyan ng mga critic. What we can generate from this comparison, no, maunlad, maganda ang education system, pero may learning poverty. Okay? Another, they still have that learning poverty, but they were able to manage it. Okay? But to compare our country with those countries with the same foot or same level with us, we can conclude that we're lagging so much. That's the second worst scenario of this, no, Straight Times graphics. And that's not just the case. No, let's proceed. No? 6 out of every 10 years old, yun yung masaklap. And that's the worst case here. Learning poverty rate in the low and middle income countries. Diba? This goes to show that the pandemic just magnified what problem has been existing before. Diba? And this will require a firm political commitment and implementation of evidence-based approaches for rapid impact. Crisis has been a product of, well, certainly called gross negligence. No? But in this case, it is clear, no, that the learning poverty in the low and middle income countries will definitely speak about the certainty on how to resolve it by means of political will or political mind. Because, diba, 6 out of 10. So, saan ba nangyayari o nanggagaling yung data na to? It came from the 57% learning poverty rate before. Okay? Let's try to look at the demographics. Demographics and the graph given to us, comparing the different continents or different regions in the world. The emerging data here is that South Asian countries were already lagging, particularly 80% bracket. No? The more na mataas yan, o the more na mataas yan, the more na nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag nating learning poverty. Diba? And that's one of the worst scenarios. The emerging data that measures actual learning levels of children in the reopened school. So, pag tingnan natin, before pandemic, the learning crisis before the pandemic, the learning crisis while having the pandemic, and the post-pandemic, the recovery phase, makita natin around the world, this cases corroborates the prediction of the large learning losses. And it is still accumulating. No? Makita natin dyan. For example, the data, state of the Sao Paulo in Brazil. Makikita natin, 1 year on the onset of pandemic, yung the state of Karnataka in India, pag tinignan natin, in a few states in Mexico, according to the data given to us, so alam niyo na yun, Latin America, nabanggit natin doon, no? At yung South America, nabanggit din natin dyan. Doon sa mga binigay nating bansa. The learning losses were equivalent to the extent of school closure. So, what does it mean? Ibig sabihin, the more na nagtagal kayo sa hindi pagbubukas ng paaralan, the more na nagkaroon ng tinatawag nating learning poverty. No? So, yung learning losses is equivalent to the school closure. So, that's the case. Meaning, the 1 year of school closures maps to roughly 1 year of normal learning that was achieved or was forgotten. But definitely, the case was forgotten. No? Kasi talaga medyo partly to be blamed talaga yung hindi disruptive o disruptor proof o po yung ating tawag dito yung tinatawag nating education system. Kaya pag hindi siya disruptive proof, no, kaya naman ay hindi talaga niya kaya maging flexible sa mga bagay-bagay, maapektuhang lubha yung pagkatuto ng mga mag-aaral. So, the long-term impact of this learning poverty can generate a major shock to human capital. Why human capital will be the main target? Because human capital will definitely produce workers in the future. The skilled laborers who will hone within the school no? Yung mga manggagawa sa hinaharap, unang sinasanay yan sa ating paaralan. No? So yung productivity in the long run, kaya nga 'di ba, isa sa mga decision before pa mag pursue dun sa blended distance learning. Anong sinasabi? We cannot stop the school year. Because if we stop the school year, we stop the economic growth in the long run. Totoo naman. Kasi ang bawat mag-aaral na hihinto sa pag-aaral at pagdating ng araw, yung mga mag-aaral na dinelay natin ng pagtatrabaho in the long run. Okay? Next. So makikita natin yung isang major impact niya. Diba? And according to certain cases, before pa pagkaroon ng pandemic, well, DepEd is to be blamed with this reading crisis. Diba? Ano ba ang nangyari dito sa reading crisis na to? No? The education crisis that was happening. Again, let me reiterate. No? The education crisis 101 didn't start during pandemic. Before pandemic, there was an emerging numbers already. Remember, 2019 yung time frame na binigay natin accordingly. No? So malinaw na tayo ay nagkaroon na ng papalalang krisis sa edukasyon before pa magkaroon ng pandemic. Pandemic just magnified the problem. It was an acid test whether our education system can surpass a certain crisis. And we're able to prove that we're not able to survive. No? Hindi shock-proof. Kumbaga, sa VUCA, no? Yung volatility, vulnerability, or what, kung paano man ginamit sa inyo. Yung uncertainty, di ba, ng ating education system is not as much as high as other countries. Di ba? So, malinaw nagkaroon. Meron ako isa nabasa, no, according to former tourism czar. If I'm not mistaken, it was Rafi Alunan, who once said that this is the consequence of the steady decline in education. None of the interventions, if any, parang sinasabi niya ron, parang nang-aasar pa ngayon, if any, no, were effective. Ibig sabihin, di ba? Kaya nga yung word na any, sinabi niya doon, wala talaga nagawang solusyon. No? Yun yung pinalala ng krisis na ito. No? At kitang-kita naman natin, why? From that 57% mark, it surged to 70%. So that goes to show that, this is now during the pandemic. And the learning poverty grew as high as 70. So that's 13%. 13% growth to the low and middle income countries. But in the Philippines, in our case, it's 91%. My goodness. No? So medyo delikado tayo doon sa numerong yan. Hindi maganda yon. There will be nothing automatic about this recovery and acceleration. Just reopening of school. That's why naiintindihan natin yung policy ng DepEd. Bakit opening of class yung gusto nila? Kasi we're at middle of the crisis. And mamaya makikita nyo rin yung data, ano ba natuto o hindi natuto ang mga mag-aaral dun sa blended, online at sa modular. No? So just reopening of school can definitely give us a certain glimpse on how to recover from the scars of this pandemic. So, let alone solve the problems, well, that caused by the learning poverty. Pero yun nga, isa sa mga bagay-bagay na yun, is that we have to, collaborate. There is a need for benchmarking of ideas from policymakers, teachers, schools, families, students, that will address and help us strategize or maybe bolster some additional financing that our education and institution that will promote learning and learning recovery can support definitely. So yun yung mga bagay-bagay na dapat natin tingnan. Because This is a 70% surge. Diba? It's a lot. It's an alarming thing. Diba? So, let us see, where does this surge come from? No? So first, let's see the share of out-of-school youth in the children. No? Again, let me emphasize the out-of-school youth. So in the case of the boys, 5.1% were the product or became the product of the out-of-school youth. And 4.8% naman sa mga babae. So girls. So again, malala ang case sa mga boys. The same scenario were likely to happen when we revisit the data to those gender assigned from birth, less likely to achieve minimum level of proficiency at the primary school. Ibig sabihin, yung natatamo yung basic writing, reading, numeracy, di ba? Ang mga kalalakihan, ang pinaka less likely, ibig sabihin, hindi gaanong makaka-achieve ng minimum level ng proficiency. No? Compare sa 89.2% ng mga babae. Again, nasa dehadong sitwasyon ang mga boys. So, kailangan ba natin magkaroon ng gender strategic intervention doon? Most probably, mag-concentrate sa boys. Pero hindi nagkakalayo yung data na 89 at 91. So, again, magtodo pa rin. Itodo pa rin natin yan. Balikan natin. Ano pa ang mga nagpalala ng case natin before the pandemic? May mga lumabas namang resulta na. Diba? According to the Program of International Student Assessment, o PISA, noong 2018, Philippines scored lower in reading, mathematics, and science. Diba? According to the average points, no, the mean score, or the average points of 487, we ranked lowest in reading and comprehension. Our mean score is 340, far low behold, no? Below sa ating 487 average points. Now, in terms of science, we're the second lowest, 357. And again, out of 489 points, no, as an average point. And second lowest din tayo sa math, 353. So, this is an alarming case. Why? Dati, according sa mga kwento lang din, di ba? Nangunguna tayo noon. Ngayon, hindi na. Or what? So, yun yung mga problema. No? At hindi natin to kakayanin lang ng back to the future na reminisce. Kailangan natin tingnan saan tayo dapat magtuon ng pansin. No? And then, isa pa. May isa pang result ang PISA na nilabas, no? December 2019. No? Maalala natin, gusto pang i-recanto ng DepEd. No? Primarily initiated by Secretary Leonor Matolis Briones. In December 2019, lumabas na more than 80% ng Filipino students natin below the minimum levels of proficiency. Diba? So, ayan, gusto pa mag-demand ng apology ng DepEd that time, ng panahon ni Secretary Briones. But, well, 80%, medyo fair pa nga yung number. Kasi 91% na learning poverty natin is alarming thing. Okay, PISA lang ba ang nagsasabi ng ganitong result? Well, definitely, hindi. Because according to the trends in International Mathematics and Science Study, 2003 outcome, as the share of 10-year-old children who cannot read and understand a simple story, my goodness, we're at the 69.5% in 2019. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Malala yung problema natin sa hindi pagkabasa, di ba? So again, isang factor yon kung bakit hindi daw natin nakuha yung magandang resulta sa trends, sa teams. Okay, ano pa yan? May isang in-emphasize pa dyan eh. According sa pag-aaral din. No? Yun na nga, estimated na medyo flop tayo dyan. No? Isa sa sinasabi rin, no? Bukod sa pagsasara ng pang-paaralan, may malaking case ang malnutrition and poor cognitive ability ng mga children. Bakit daw nauwi sa ganito? Yung ano to, yung data. So, well, totoo naman, dahil may pag-aaral din naman, no, yung mga 5-year-old daw, no, na may proper nutrition, maganda ang brain development and learning ability. So childhood undernutrition cost around 4 billion, no? $4.4 billion, if I'm not mistaken. If we can equate that, that's 1.5% of the growth output natin back in the 2015. That's according to World Bank. Pero isa rin sa sinasabi rito ni isa sa mga professor sa UP, kung hindi ako nagkamali, the former dean of University of the Philippines, School of Labor and Industrial Relations. UP Soler ba yun? Tama. Sorry kung mali ako doon. Okay? He said that the best way to learn and master reading, arithmetic, and science is to use the language that can be understood by our students. Kaya dapat yung mother tongue, medyo promote talaga natin. Okay, the next part of the crisis is the nearly 2,000 schools ang sinara. No? Nagsara, napuwersang magsara. Diba? Back in the school year 2020-2021. Why? Bakit nagre-resulta sa ganun? Well, some private school cannot thrive any longer. Now, mga public, bakit nagsara? Hindi kaya ng resources para makapagpapukas. Okay? So, ano pa mga factors? Bakit lumala ang ganitong sitwasyon? Could not afford the digital equipment, mobiles, computers for their children to participate. Ito ang dahilan ng mga magulang, etc. etc. Even in the case of the Philippines, no? Diba? Mahihalin tulad daw tayo sa Venezuela. Because we're the two countries na lang, no, na hindi open ng face-to-face back in the school year 2021-2022. But of course, the basic education system, the K-12, failed to develop the effective programs. No? Remote learning, mixed or blended, hindi naging maganda ang mga programang nabuo. Diba? So now, dahil nabanggit naman na yung digital struggle or digital what, let's go now with the digital divide. Because the digital divide makes our learner either lag or move forward. Diba? But here, in the case, the lack of digital equipment or devices brought up certain thing or certain reason why digital divide happened. And of course, why the learning poverty grew as high as that number. Diba? Yun nga, lack of digital devices. Walang magamit. Hindi nagsusut yung gamit nilang mga estudyante natin. Insufficient mobile data allowance. Paano ka nga naman makakapasok talaga kung wala ka pang connect? So yun yung isang main problem dito, no, sa scenario na to. Insufficient mobile data allowance. And then last, unstable internet connection. And until now, no, buti naman nagde-develop tayo, medyo gumigit-na-gitna na tayo, hindi na tayo pinaka-worst sa internet connection. Di ba? Pero those three major reasons, the lacking, the insufficiency, the instability, resulted to this number. And what are those numbers? 1. 6.9 million unstable mobile and internet connections. That's why the lagging number of our students can be certainly accounted to this. 6.8 million, lack of device suitable for distance learning. So, connection, device, hindi nagsaswap ng gamit. Kasi minsan, may mga outdated devices na hindi talaga kayang tumagos papuntang online learning. Kaya blended distance learning. And lastly, yung 6.2 million, insufficient load or data allowance. Hindi sasapat. Kaya nawawala. Natatanggal along the way. May mga ganun tayong student, no? And then, okay, the grand narrative of the learning crisis. What's the grand narrative of the learning crisis? Well, according sa ulat ng Rappler, no, it's about hit and miss, no, during the pandemic, about our learning situation. So one, di ba? we compromise our standards. This is the first grand narrative. We already compromise the standards. Let me share to you one of the sharing of one of my former professor. Sabi niya, anong Filipino ng standard? Ang Filipino ng standard ay pamantayan. Kumuha siya ng salitang ugat mula doon. Yung salitang pantay. Kaya nga pantay, kailangan lumebel doon. Umantas doon. Kaya nga yan, pamantayan. Papantayan dapat daw. So, based on kung ano, that's why we have standards. Kailangan doon lumebel. No? Pero the result were very alarming that we failed to comply to our standards. Instead, we compromise our standards. Why? Paano yung nangyari? Sa distance learning, let me prove that to you using the result. Distance learning in the Philippines, a year of hits and misses, sabi dito. Well, hindi naman natin masasabi na hits and miss, no? Kasi first naman talaga nating experience yan. Pero yun nga, hit and miss, no? May mga nahihit naman talaga tayo. Pero marami tayong na-missed out. May mga opportunity na sana na paghandaan to before pa mangyari pandemic pero hindi natin ginawa. No? So, yun nga. So, anong data? According to Secure, no? This is the movement for safe, equitable, quality, and relevant education. Nagkaroon sila ng online survey wherein sa online survey na yun, inalam nila no, from the data sa magulang, sa students, and sa teachers as well. No? Ang case na inalam nila, how much? No? What's our number? Where are we? No? Yan yung nangyari. 86.7% learned less under modular learning. Totoo naman. Ano matututo ang bata kung sa module lang siya nakatutok? Hindi lubos yung pagkatuto niyan. Hindi lahat ng students were trained to have that independent learning. Again, 86.7%. Part ng survey. Later on, sasabihin natin yung exact figure. No? Nilagay ko yung sa kodigo kasi I failed to memorize it. So, next is yung 66% naman. Learned less during or under online learning. So, pag may mga online class, 66% dyan, sasabihin hindi na natututo. That's 6 out of 10. Pero siguro, 6 or 7 out of 10. Kasi 66 na yan. Round off na yun. And 74% will tell learned less under blended learning. So, yung mix ng online tsaka module. Diba? Kaya naman, yung mga nakaranas ng blended na face-to-face and online. So, yun na nga, no? So, what's our number? Doon naman sa mga learned more. Okay? Learn more according sa Secure. Well, 5.7% said they learned more under modular. Okay? So, better daw. Kasi daw, yung modular, magpo-provide daw ng masagot yan. Or what? 9.1% naman nagsasabi, learned more sila sa online learning. Okay? So, that's good, no? That's good. Kasi, effective kahit paano yung pagta-transition sa online. Pero, 5.4% learned more under blended. Ibig sabihin, pag hinaluan mo na pala ang blended ng modular or what? Ng online modular or what? 5.4 lang matututo, halos. So, anong problema? The problem here is that we're not yet there. Kaya yung digital divide, ramdam natin sa data. Another factor here is that according to Secure, no, safe, equitable, quality, and relevant education, that survey only proves to us that there are so many things. No? Maraming silver linings na pwedeng pag-aralan. Maraming silver linings dito na pwedeng i-structure pa. But again, the survey was conducted June 25 to July 12. 1,278 teachers, 1,299 grades 4 to 12 students, and 3,172 parents. Hindi nahilaw yung ganong data. Marami na yon. across the Philippines na yung pagkakalap. So, ano problema? The problem here is that for the sake that we have to continue learning despite of the pandemic, we compromise standards. Diba? Later on, I'll reveal to you, maraming script na ginamit dyan. No? Marami tayong mga makukuhang bagay. Bakit nangyari itong ganito? Bakit nangyari yung ganyan? Etc. Okay? And the second grand narrative is that we distracted and undervalued teaching. Especially distracting and undervaluing our teachers. Okay? Salary-wise, the next slide will prove to us na hindi tayo better. No? Much better pa rin yung ibang countries sa atin. Kaya hindi natin makuha yung best teachers. And lastly, isa pang patunay dito, yun nga, no? Try natin basahin yung sentiment ng mga teachers. Pero let's start, no? Pag ikinumpara natin yung sahod na mayroon ng Philippines with other neighboring Southeast Asian countries, we're one of the lowest. Pansinin ninyo, no? 623 tayo. Mataas tayo kumpara sa Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam. Mataas tayo kahit paano. Pero yung 29,800 na yan, syempre, hindi naman yung kasing level ng ating inflation sa ibang bansa o sa inflation nila kumpara sa atin. No? At hindi yan yung starting talaga. Ha? 29,000, masyado na mataas pa yan. Pero pag, well, if we compare to ourselves, no, to Brunei, East Timor, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, we will not play better. Diba? There were still the better countries here. So yun, no? Undervalued tayo in terms of our profit, our income pala, rather. Diba? Ano naman yung mga collective sentiment na pwede nating pag-isipan matapos natin makita itong mga ganito? Kasi distracting, di ba? Ano yung mga nan-distract sa teaching o sa teachers? Well, again, bukod sa salary, kasi malaking bagay yan. Etong mga online rantings, I was able to screenshot certain lines, no, sa ating Facebook or what. Nung nilabas yung learning poverty, meron nilabas ang Alliance of Concerned Teachers, meron nilabas ang One News or what, Interaction, Philippine Star, etc. Nireport nila yung learning poverty. Isa sa online ranting. Ito, dami kasi programa ng DepEd eh. Hindi na alam if ano unahin ng guro. Just let teachers teach. Alisin na ang mga paperwork. Paperwork, no? Siguro typo lang yan. Pero ang dami niyang no? May like at heart. So yun yung isang problem. Maraming paperworks. Baka nakalilimutan na ni teacher magturo talaga. Man dapat nang isipin yun. Yung paperworks bang yan? Essential yan. Magdadala ba sa atin yan na pag-ahon mula sa krisis at sa kumunoy na ating nararanasan o hindi? Second, ito, online rant number 2. Let the teachers focus on teaching, not in the bulk of paperwork submitted ASAP. O yan. Sabi nga nila, nagkakaroon na ng biruan. No? Pag ikaw nagturo, whether sa DepEd ka man o sa karaniwang private school, tayo daw ay mga taga Argentina. Diba? Bakit? Urgent yan. Diba? Meron din tayo, no? Minsan, makakala nila, taga-Russia tayo. Bakit? Russian. Diba? So yun isang mga problem. Lahat minamadali. Ano nang focus si teacher? Nadali report. Kailangan ipasa. And of course, yan, pagpapalaga ng guro sa Pilipinas. Pagdating sa sahod, di ba? Ano yan? Kulelat lagi daw Pilipinas. Kasi, totoo naman, can we hire the best teacher, our summa cum laude, our magna cum laude, having the 29,000 mark? We have to rethink. We have to rethink. Hindi dapat natin ikinukumpara sa private schools lang ang sahod. Dapat natin maikumpara sa karatig bansa. Bakit umaalis ang mga magagaling nating teacher? Nasaan sila? Nasa US na yung karamihan ng mga kilala ko. No? Okay, comment number 4. Yan o. Ala, sige, paperworks pa more. Sige, pangayog dato. Kontinsay makabasa ng uban ng mga reports nga. Ora-orada na. Nauna. Yan. So, dama natin, no, na marami siyang nire-report. Kasi, papasa ka agad daw. Tapos ito pa, more paperwork pa. DepEd report pa sa teacher. Yan. So, yun, no? Paano mo naman talaga mapagtutuunan ng pansin yung paglutas dun sa crisis na mayroon ka kung may dagdag na paperwork? And of course, paano pa matututukan yung bata? Sandamukan yung auxiliary and admin task na ginagawa ni teacher. Now, let's see muna to, no, yung auxiliary, kasi hindi naman talaga teaching karamihan niya. Yung admin task, alam niyo na yan, yung paggawa ng policy sa schools or what, minsan naaatang din kay teacher yan. Diba? So, that's it, no? That's the main problem. That's part of online rants. And that constitutes the collective sentiments of teachers online. Yun yung nakakatakot. No? We've been distracted in teaching. Diba? We've been distracted in teaching by non-teachers' tasks. Example, library. May nakatutok dapat sa library. Pero bakit teacher librarian yung ginagawa? Isa pa, teacher nurse. Ayan, bagong-bago yan. Bakit? Kasi di ba kinuha yung mga nurse ng mga local government units. Naranasan namin to sa Manila. No? Na ang mga teacher, nagiging teacher nurse. Tapos, ine-equate kasi yung bilang na, medyo underload ka. So, bibigyan ka namin ng iba pang task. Yung underload na yun kasi binibilang per minutes. Diba? Per minutes, kung gaano ka karami magturo or what, gaano karami klase mo or what, etc. etc. Pero yun na nga, that gives us the burden to heed the call for those tasks unfilled, supposedly by the policy of the higher institution. So yun, teacher nurse, teacher ganito, ibukod pa natin yung, hindi natin binibilang, no? Hindi binibilang ng DepEd o nino man, yung dami ng chechekan mo. Ilang oras yung itatapon mo sa paggawa ng ganito. Ilan yung oras na gagawin mong ganito. Hindi Hindi naman yun yung binibilang. Ang binibilang lang lagi, teaching hours. So, saan isisingit ni teacher yung oras o pag-fulfill dun sa mga task niya? Kabalik ulit tayo. Are we having that same privilege or not? Diba? The third grand narrative will definitely speak to us. Why these things gone so far? Because we contribute to the compoundment of learning loss. Now, what's compoundment? Compoundment is through time, no? Through time may natatanim. Through time merong ipupundar. So that's it, no? That's the logic of compoundment. Pero pag napabayaan, alam naman natin, pag naiipon, ano nangyari? Sumasablay. Humihina yung mga bagay-bagay. Diba? Allow me to cite to you certain lines kung bakit nagkaroon ng learning crisis at paano siya na-develop through time. Kasi, crisis is not developed overnight or was not developed overnight or cannot be developed overnight. It goes beyond the time frame. Maraming panahon at oras ang kailangan niya bago ka nag-come up o nagkaroon ng pagka-come up na may learning loss or crisis na nangyari. Diba? So, anong mga lines? Ayan. Let me read the first line. Ipasa mo na lang yan. Di naman yan mahalaga pagtanda niya. Ano yan? May certain manipulating dyan. Bakit? Pasa mo na lang. Hindi mo talaga gustong ipasa yan. Pero napipilitan kang magdesisyonan, ipasa na lang yan. Next line, ipinasa naman yan ng iba eh. Ipasa mo na rin. Diba? So, yung basis, hindi talaga yung subject mo. Yung basis, ilan ang nagsabi na yes sila sa doon, sa batang yun, at ilan ang nag-no. So, ipinasa naman yan ng iba eh. Pasa mo na rin. Para hindi masama din yung loob. Oh, third line. Hindi yan na magpapasya sa kanyang buhay. Darating din at marirealize niya na mali sila. Ganda rin naman. Tama naman yung linyang yun, no? Maganda na makita natin na, oo nga, no? Somewhere, some lessons na tinuturo natin sa klase, hindi naman talaga maa-adapt ng mga students natin. At hindi rin ito yung valuable thing in the long run. Halimbawa, yung panghalip ba, may panggamit ba yan talaga? Yung panghalip? Unless otherwise, gamitin mo yung sa pagbuo ng akda, pagre-realize minsan ng mga communication or what. Pero yun nga, no? Hindi yan ang magpapasya doon sa buhay niya. So again, yung mga linyang yan are the greatest betrayal in our education crisis. Fourth one, hindi naman nila magagamit yan pagtanda, kaya ipasa mo na lang. Yung tinuturo daw natin kasi, hindi applicable. Hindi ng araw. O, sino nagpunta sa sa tindahan? Sinabi sa tindahan, pabili nga po x square plus x square or what square. O, wala namang ganun. Diba? Dinidiscredit natin yung bawat subject matter. And that causes us to commit ourselves in this greatest betrayal in our education setup. Mass promotion. Fifth line. Sige ka, kapag ibabagsak mo yan, ikaw rin magre-remedial. Bakit? Binagsak mo eh. Anong gagawin mo? Paano pumasa yan? Paano mo ipapasa yan? O i-remedial mo. The other way around will happen to teachers who will seek for convenience, not for their conviction. Why? They will say this line. Kaysa mahirapan ako mag-remedial, ipapasa ko na lang. See, the case of mass promotion. Because the burden was brought to us. We were burdened up. Not only by pandemic, but by the policies accumulated through time. Totoo naman. Bakit mo papahirapan ng sarili mo? Sasahod ka rin naman. I-remedial mo o hindi ang bata, sasahod ka. Di ba? And then isa pa, last line, pumapasok naman yung batang yun, ipasa mo na. Again, no, konektado yun sa unang grand narrative. The first grand narrative, we compromise the standard. We compromised. Why? Ipasa mo na lang, pumapasok naman. That's attendance. And we're not rating attendance. At any rate, no? Pero dahil pumapasok naman yung bata, sige, ipasa na lang. Nangyayari yan. Minsan ba nagawa natin kamustahin? No, I'm talking to the teachers who've passed their student kahit hindi naman sila pumapantay sa pamantayan. Nagawa ba natin silang kamustahin? Anong estado na ng buhay nila ngayon? What's the status quo of their life? Silang mga napagbigyan at hindi nasunod yung pamantayan. How are they? Kamusta sila? Base sa aking karanasan, last year, I'm handling grade 10 students. Nung trinase ko yung mga pinagbabagsak ko, ito mga madaling dahilan na napagbibigyan sila. Ganon din naman sila dati. Tinuloy-tuloy lang nila. Bakit? Kasi walang nagtuturo sa kanila na mayroong consequences sa mga bagay-bagay sa mundo. Hanggang sa noong hawak ko na sila, ngayon, grade 10, ganun pa rin naman sila. Hindi nagbagong buhay or what. So, kailangan turuan mo no, na dapat hindi libre ang bagay-bagay sa mundo to. So, isa yun sa pinaka-main problem. Hindi naman nagbabago eh, yung mga napagbibigyan. Kung may nagbago man, ilan lang yun sa daliri. Walang nagbago kasi binigyan natin sila ng lisensya para maging tamad at para madaling makalusot parate. No? sa mga bagay na hindi nila pinagsusumikapan, pinaghihirapan, at higit sa lahat, hindi sila nag-effort, pero makalulusot sila. Worst scenario, diba? And that's mass promotion. Hindi lang ito yung pinasa mo lang kasi maapektuhan yung school performance. Mamaya, mababanggit din natin yan. Okay? And then, isa pang factor, we normalize mediocrity. Mediocrity is, well, just being average. No? Pero nga, the mere fact that we promoted mass promotion, yan, sabi nga dito sa comment, mass promotion pa more para highest tayo. Isa yan sa nagpapapalya ang ating education system right now. Bakit mo nga naman talaga ibabagsak? Madadami performance ng school. Madadami din performance mo. E di maapekto yung performance-based bonus nyo. Ano pa? Maapektuhan yan yung subordinate. Maapektuhan din yung boss pagdating naman sa private. So yun nga, no? Isang bagay yan na sa online run. We normalize mediocrity. Why? We pass those students even if they're not deserved. Come to think of it, no? I have encountered more, definitely by this time, na nagkakaroon ng submission yung bata, no? Submission sa ano? Kakaroon na sila ng submission para papasa lang kasi alam naman nila hindi check. So, kahit mga bata nagsiset na rin. So, again, hindi mo naman mapipilit ang teacher. Sumunod lang lahat dyan. Kasi nakikita nila kung paano pinahalagahan. Alam nila paano hindi pinahalagahan. And then, isa pang online run na medyo mabigat-bigat din to kahit papaano. Nakita to isa sa isang article sa Manila Times. Why 9 out of 10 Filipino children can't read? That's according to Daphne Osenio Paez, who's writing at Manila Times. Pero isa sa pinakamagandang nakita ko dito sa article nung binasa ko, etong linyang to. And this is for real. Marami na nagsasabi nito. Napipilitan po kaming ipasa ang mga bata kahit hindi marunong. Kaya remedial ng class parati. We are forced to give a passing grade to our students even if the students didn't learn. That's why they need remedial classes. It's like there is a financial incentive for the principal and schools to have a high rate of passing, honors, and graduates. And we wonder why our students graduate without knowing how to read. Diba? Bakit? Kasi nga pinasa lang. Hindi ibig sabihin na pinasa kasi nakatuntong siya sa pamantayan. That's very wrong. No? Yun yung nangyari. Diba? Hanggat hindi na iaalis yung context na nakadepende ang performance ng school sa dami ng dropout, failed, pinagsak ng students, magkakaroon ng negatibong pamamaraan ng paaralan para tutugon dyan. Diba nga, sino ang laging may kasalanan pag bumabagsak ang bata? Sino ba ang teacher niyan? Laging tatanungin yung ganon. So, nakakabahala yun. Kasi, bakit laging teacher yung sinisisi? Meron ngang meme dati sa Facebook. No? Anong sinabi doon? Dati, yung teacher nagagalit sa magulang. Tapos, papagalitan yung anak. Ngayon, magsasabi yung anak sa magulang, magagalitan yung teacher. Nagkaroon ng pagkakaiba-iba, no? Ng paradigm. Pero kasi ito yung isa sa main reason. Anong ginawa ng teacher? Para pumasa siya. Para magkaroon ng ganito. Hindi ba pwedeng tanungin din natin, anong ginawa mong paraan kung ikaw ang magulang para hindi masadlak ang anak mo sa lusak? That's for you to answer. No? Isa pang bagay na napansin ko, ikalaunan, no? Na itong mga batang ito, no, they will have their remedial classes. Pero napipilitan din silang umattend. Bakit? Gusto na pumasa. Bakit? Para hindi sila pagalitan magulang nila. Now, The question here is that, paano nag-care yung magulang nila at the very first pa lang? Ako kasi, napapansin ko, naghahawak din naman ako ng mata sa section kahit papaano. No? Isa sa pinaka napansin ko, sa bakit matataas minsan, maraming protective parent at maraming magulang na nakatututok, no? Nakatututok dun sa kanilang mga anak at nagpe-perform na maayos. Now, how about those students who are not performing well in the class? Some of their parents abandoned them. May malaking pagkukulang ang pamilyang Pilipino sa bawat pamilya niya. Kaya hindi nagkaroon ng magandang resulta yung mga pag-aaral na to. Sabi nga nung, isa sa mga former boss, no, former head ko, we have to embrace those students. Kasi may kanya-kanyang mga pinanggagalingan niya. May kanya-kanya silang pinanghugutan. At yun yung isa sa pinaka-main problem. Naipapasa sila? Yes. Pero yung impact sa buhay nila, paano? Ang nakakatakot dito, paano natin makikita yung epekto, no? Yung epekto ng mga, napilitan kasi tayo para hindi bumaba performance ng school. No? Paano natin mas mahigit pang makikita yung epekto ng higit pang kamangmangan sa lipunan? Yun yung isa sa pinakamalaking struggle right now. No? Naniniwala kasi tayo sa pinaka-huling grand narrative. Ayaw nating may maiiwan. Ang edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Pero one thing I've seen, no, may 10 years of teaching, walang masama sa pinopromote. Bahagi yan, Millennium Development Goals, Sustainable Development, or what. Nandiyan na yan, di ba? Pero nangyari yung panahon na tulad nito. We believe in the myth called education for all and no child left behind. No child left behind. Left many. Maraming naiwan na mag-aaral sa kalagitnaan dahil sa polisiyang yan. Ito, isa sa main reason kung bakit hindi na dapat nang babagsak kasi dapat walang naiiwan na mag-aaral. Bakit? Kasi may mga cases na, 4 na taon na siya sa grade 1, ba't hindi pa ito umaangat-angat? Diba? Pero may mga ganon. Pero remember, may mga scientists din tayo na paulit-ulit ang kanilang elementary days. And they turned out to be a genius one day. Diba? Hindi ba tayo nagtataka dito sa huling grand narrative na? Hindi ba tayo nagtataka? Kung kailan nagkaroon ng mga teorya, praktika, sobrang ganda. Mga hindi inaasahang krisis sa edukasyon, dun pa nangyari. Diba? Mayroon tayong pang paradigm ng higher order thinking skills, cooperative learning, collaborative learning, 21st century learning skills. Diba? Ano pa mga pinag-aralan natin? Flipped classroom, distance learning, blended learning. Saan nagkaroon ng innovation? Bakit? Nandun maraming palpak na mag-aaral. Ano nangyari? Diba nga? We cannot treat the same crisis or the same problem that leads to that crisis before. We cannot treat that. Having the same metrics, having the same measure, or having the same strategy, same as before. We cannot treat those things the way we want it to be. Kaya yun, no? Makikita natin, in this grand narrative, have we served the basic purpose of education for all? Nagkaroon ba talaga ng edukasyon para sa lahat? O nagkaroon lang ng compliance para matawag na nakatapos lahat? Kahit hindi naman nangyari talaga yung esensya at diwa niya. Wala ba talagang batang naiwan? O mas maraming batang maiiwan kasi may mangmang na lipunan? Pag-isipan natin yun. Kasi We cannot deny the fact that hindi nakatutuwang numero ang 91% ng learning poverty. Hindi nakatutuwa na lagi tayong lowest sa reading and reading comprehension. Hindi kailanman masasatisfy ng karaniwang tao yung case natin. Second lowest na tayo sa science at math. We're lagging. And we have to accept the fact that the basic nature, basic essence of education for all and no child left behind is at our back. Lagging behind us. That goes to show that we failed. Okay? Because we believe on that myth. We believe in the myth called education for all and no child left behind. We can still reconstruct each other ways on how to serve those mantra, those battle cry before. The better and best way we could. Why? We have to rethink. Baka back to basic lang talaga ang problema. Diba? Si teacher dapat pagturuin. Si teacher dapat nasa classroom. Si student, baka dapat bigyan pa natin ng maraming oras. Yes, with the advent of technology, they can access. But I do believe that we can still instill to them the value of discipline before letting them, before allowing them doing such things independently. Diba? Baka naman talaga ang pag-solve dito, tugunan muna yung dami ng classroom. So that class size will be reduced. Baka yun yung isang problem. Na sa sobrang highfalutin ng ating mga teorya, napakaganda ng ating mga basic learning models or education models, our policies were aligned prior to its compliance. And suddenly, we have those results. Lowest sa reading comprehension, second lowest sa math at science. I'm not pricing in the problem in historical distortion. I'm not pricing in with those teenagers or what? Not knowing Gomburza, substituting it with Majoha. We're at the crisis. We're at the peril of our education path. Dapat naman mag-declare ng war on ignorance. Diba? But allow me to close this talk with this message. One time, as I browsed my Facebook, binabrowse pa aking Facebook, nakita ko isang post na tinatawag na Anthony Jennings. I don't know from what country. Hindi ko naman siya in-stalk. Pero, ang ganda nito. Sa isang entrance gate daw sa university sa South Africa, meron silang message na nakikita. Posted for contemplation. Ang ganda na sinabi. Anong sinabi? Destroying any nation does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of long-range missiles. So, hindi na kailangan ng bomba pa. Hindi na kailangan ng mga pangmalayuang bombang gagamitin. Diba? But it only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the examinations by the students. Why? Pag hinayaan natin silang magdaya, magkaroon ng resultang hindi naman nila pinaghirapan, wala talaga sila nakamit doon, at ibababa natin ang kalidad ng edukasyon, babagsak ang nasyon. Diba? Why? Patients die at the hands of such doctors. Building collapse at the hands of such engineers. Money is lost at the hands of such economists and accountants. Humanity dies at the hands of such religious scholars. Justice is lost at the hands of such judges. The collapse of education is the collapse of the nation. Sa oras na hindi natin tinugunan ang krisis sa ating pag-aaral, sa ating edukasyon, susundan naman ito ng krisis sa ating nasyon. And we're failing already. And we don't want that to totally annihilate us as a nation. We still have that crusade, no? And I hope I was able to deliver the grand narratives of why education crisis 101 happened. And I hope I was able to ignite certain things, even if it's the darkest time of our education scenario or situation. I hope I was able to have to cascade the narrative of education crisis, one classroom at a time, serving our advocacy towards our education. Sana, kung may mga administrator na nakikinig, don't let your employees, your subordinates, to come up with their silence. Let their ideas grow. Welcome their ideas. Baka isa rin yan sa pumapatay sa atin kung bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng crisis sa edukasyon. Because we treat those noise, we treat such thing, even if it's constructive criticism, as our bubbly noise. Diba? Masama kasi pag nagre-reklamo ka, parang ikaw yung masama. Hindi pa pwedeng meron kang nakikitang pwedeng i-improve at ikaunlad. At yun sana yung tingnan natin. Hindi ito basta-basta protesta lang. Ito nakataya rito ang kinabukasan ng ating bayan. Sabi nga, kinabukasan ng ating bayan ay hawak natin sa kasalukuyan. It is our decision that will come up whether we will address or not the crisis today. And I hope kahit kaunti po ay may nakuha tayo, may napulot tayo sa ating talk ngayong hapon. Maraming pong salamat.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us. And to all our Kavibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. The link is in the caption of this webinar. We encourage you also to subscribe and watch on our official Vibal Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.